You know that feeling, right? You're watching a movie and bam, lump in your throat. Or maybe it's a moment of just pure, overwhelming joy that gets the waterworks going. Crying is something every single one of us does, but it's also kind of weird when you think about it. Why do our feelings, our deepest emotions, cause water to leak out of our eyes? Well, let's get into it. Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to start by looking at the different kinds of tears. Yep, there's more than one. Then we'll dive into two really cool theories. One says crying is basically a call for help, and the other sees it as our body's own reset button. And finally, we'll talk about what makes emotional crying just so human. So yeah, at its heart, crying is this universal mystery. It's this strange, automatic physical thing that our bodies do when our emotions get intense. And that really is the question, isn't it? Why this specific thing? Why did we evolve so that our most profound feelings literally make our eyes leak? It seems, I don't know, a little inefficient, but as you're about to see, there are some incredibly powerful reasons behind it all. All right, first things first. You might think a tear is just a tear, right? Salty water. But it turns out science has a much more interesting story to tell. Not all tears are created equal. Get this. Your body actually produces 3 completely distinct types of tears, and each one has a very, very specific job. So first up, you've got your basal tears. Think of these as the 24/7 maintenance crew for your eyes, always there, keeping things lubricated and protected. Then you have reflex tears. This is the emergency squad that rushes in when you chop an onion or get dust in your eye. Their job is to flush the bad stuff out. And then we have the star of our show, emotional tears. These are the ones triggered by our feelings, and they're the real mystery we're here to solve. So, why do we have these emotional tears? Well, the first big theory is that it's a cry for help. It's a powerful social signal that evolved way, way before we had complex language. And that is the key idea right there. Before we could say, I'm hurt or I'm scared and I need you, our tears did the talking. They broadcast a message to everyone around us that was impossible to misunderstand. We're vulnerable and we need support. Just think about this from a survival standpoint. When you're crying, your vision gets blurry. You can't really fight or defend yourself very well. It's a powerful signal of submission, of need. And that, in turn, is designed to trigger empathy in other people, to make them want to help you, which ultimately makes the whole group stronger. It's a brilliant little survival loop. And you know, this isn't just a guess. They've actually tested this. Researchers showed people pictures of sad faces, but in some of them, they digitally wiped away the tears. And guess what? Without the tears, people had a much harder time identifying the emotion as sadness. They confused it with things like awe or just being confused. The tears themselves are the critical signal. But what if crying isn't just about sending a message out to other people? The other big theory is that it's more like an internal release valve, that it causes real, measurable chemical changes inside our own bodies. Now, this is where things get really fascinating. When scientists actually analyzed the chemical makeup of different tears, they found something amazing. The emotional tears you cry when you're sad or overjoyed have a completely different chemical recipe than the reflex tears you get from chopping an onion. So what's actually in these emotional tears? Well, they are loaded with stuff. They have more protein for one, but they also contain stress hormones like ACTH, and they even have a natural painkiller called enkephalin, which is a type of endorphin. So when you cry, you are literally flushing these compounds out of your system. And that explains so much. It explains that feeling of calm, of relief, of catharsis that you often get after a really good cry. You're not just getting your feelings out in a metaphorical way. You are physically shedding stress hormones and releasing your body's own natural pain relievers. How cool is that? Okay, so we've got these two huge ideas. Crying as a social signal and crying as a chemical reset. But here's the thing. They aren't competing theories. They actually work together, which makes crying this incredible, uniquely human, dual-purpose phenomenon. So really, you can think of emotional crying as this amazingly sophisticated tool that works both outwardly and inwardly at the same time. It sends a clear signal to the people around you, building connection and empathy, and at the same exact moment, it's working to restore your own internal chemical balance. It's doing 2 jobs at once. And here's the real kicker. This incredibly complex dual-function system, it seems to be all ours. While lots of animals make tears to clean and protect their eyes, humans are, as far as we know, the only species on the planet that weeps because of feelings. It's one of the most profoundly human things we do.
So the next time you feel those tears welling up, just remember what's actually going on. It's not a sign of weakness, it's this ancient, sophisticated tool. It's part social signal, part biological reset. It's a mechanism that connects us to each other and helps us heal ourselves. So the question isn't really why we cry, but maybe what would we be without it?